a series we started where we kind of informally get together and just talk about a given business issue. And today we're going to talk about an issue I know next to nothing about, sales and customer development. So we got two wonderful speakers here. If you RSVP'd for this event, we've been sending out the invitation links, but as usual, we're getting technical glitches here. So bear with us. We're going to try to keep sending them out because we got the slots available. We can have more people join us. And probably like 30 people RSVP'd. So I'll keep an eye on the event link, and we'll try to, on the event page, we'll try to send them out through that. But you have to join through that. You can't join through the event page. So like I say, this is a subject I know next to nothing about, but we've got two really wonderful experts here. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. We got Mike Baines and Teresa Delgado. I hope I pronounced your last name correctly, Teresa. And you know, they're sales specialists, marketing specialists. They really know what they're doing. So if this particular area, I'm not even sure I know the right questions to ask. So this is going to be more of a discussion. We're going to try to get more people in here. But why don't we start with Teresa, ladies first. Teresa, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us what city you're in, a little bit about your practice.
Great. Thanks, Rob.
And one more thing. Shoot out your one best sales pitch, or excuse me, sales tip. And you'll have a chance, I know you probably have a lot more than one, you'll have a chance to expand on that. But just hammer out your one best one. Okay, take it away.
Great. Well, I'm Teresa Delgado, and my specialty is sales and marketing. And I've been in sales and marketing for over 20 years. And I help small business owners, real estate agents, and people looking to start something on their own, either because of a hobby, and that's where a lot of businesses start, actually out of hobbies. And I'm based out of the Los Angeles area. And my best suggestion, as Rob has asked me to give you, is to focus on building rapport with your clientele, with your prospects, and with your current customers. The rapport goes so far, and to get anyone to purchase anything from you or to do business from you in any way, they have to know you, they have to like you, and they have to trust you. And building rapport is the first step to that. Thanks, Rob.
Oh, that's wonderful. And we're going to expand on that quite a bit. And I should mention you also have a community on Google+, Simple Cells?
Yes.
Right? So let's get a little plug in for that. Simple Cells, I don't go there as often as I'd like. It's just too much stuff, but I do intend to get more involved in that community. Our other speaker for today is Mike Baines. Mike is one of the moderators on our entrepreneurs community. He's doing a great job. He is in Boulder. Why am I introducing you? I'll let you introduce yourself, Mike. Take it away, Mike.
Thanks, Rob. I'm Mike Baines. I'm the managing partner of a company called My One Call near Boulder, Colorado. We do sales acceleration programs, and that's a very broad reach into anything we need to do to take a small or medium business and increase our revenue. So we specialize probably today in internet marketing as well as traditional marketing, and we've helped literally thousands of small businesses grow revenue and grow sales. And as far as the sales tip, I just really echo what Teresa said. We always say business is relationships. And what we've found through documented evidence and metrics is the fact is the better relationships you have, the more you'll sell. So being authentic and building really good relationships, and also getting little trophies now and then is really good too. I'll tell you about that later.
Interesting tip. Like I said, this is an area I don't know a whole lot about, but I recently read a book. When you get kind of in a difficult business situation. It was a book by Brian Tracy. Probably a lot of people have heard of him. He's really good business books, real easy reads. And he wrote a book called Crunch Time. What to do when you get in a rough spot. And a lot of us, that aren't good at sales maybe didn't like this advice. But after giving a lot of good advice on what to do and how to approach the situation, he goes, you got to sell. He goes, there is no other way. You have to sell. So even if those of us like me who don't like sales, who aren't good at it, tough noogies. You got to do it. Nothing happens without selling. Guys, I am going to spend some time figuring out why the invitations aren't working. Can I ask you two to have a conversation, kind of interview each other? Because I'm going to go to the event and try to get some invitations out. So I'm going to shut up for a while. Is that okay with both of you? That you kind of.
That's fine.
Sure.
I don't know what I'm asking.
I'm actually curious about the little trophy, Mike. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, unfortunately, I don't have a story for it yet, but I figured I'd think of something sooner or later. This is the only trophy I've ever won in my life. Well, in 30 years, and it was for a pink ball golf tournament, and it was basically for the worst player on the course. So I'm very proud of this trophy from that. But speaking of business, I've got a few thoughts on business development. Might kick it off if you want to, Teresa, or should I?
No, go right ahead.
Having done a bunch of business development for my own company and on behalf of others, what I've found is the number one rule for sales has very little to do with the selling process. The foundation of it is actually your product itself. And so when we work with a company, what we start with is basically the product. Because if you can make a service or a product somewhat irresistible, most of your sales issues kind of go away. So what I see as issues a lot with small businesses is they come to us, or even our own company occasionally with new products, and they have, it's the old, hate to use the term, but lipstick on a pig situation. It's like, if your product isn't very good, then there's nothing you can do from a marketing perspective, there's nothing you can do from a sales perspective that's going to blast off your sales. So we probably spend months at times, but 50% of our efforts basically on looking at product and what you're offering, how it's unique, what's different about it. And once you have a product that's irresistible that someone can look at and go, what the bottom line is, what you want your prospect to do is look at it and go, I'd be an idiot not to buy this. When you get your product at that level, you don't have to worry too much about sales. It will sell itself. So the first thing we look at is your product. Why would anybody buy your stuff? If it's just the same as everybody else's, you're in trouble. You've got to make it unique, and you've got to look at the business model, and you've got to have it eventually where somebody will see it on a social media site or wherever they find you and go, I'd be stupid not to buy that. So that's really where we work on business development. From the next perspective, when we get into sales, once you have a really good product, I'll turn it over to Teresa, and maybe you can talk a little bit about what I said or not, and some of the sales tips and things you've seen successful companies do.
Well,
Let me just interject just a minute, and then we'll go to Teresa. I think I got the invitation links working now, and I just wanted to comment on the lipstick on a pig comment. That's obviously true, but I think too many of us that aren't sales professionals, we get hung up on it. We think we got a pig when we don't have a pig. And so I just want to say, from a non-sales guy, non-marketing guy, maybe you don't have a pig. Maybe you really do have something good. So I mean, just from your sales perspective, of course, you want something hot and good, and you want to sell. I want to real quickly introduce Preston, and then we're going to run to Teresa. Hi, Preston. How you doing today? Can we hear you?
It helps if I unmute it.
Jump in. I just wanted to say hi. We kind of know you. Preston's in Costa Rica, I believe, or excuse me, Panama?
Nope, Honduras.
Honduras. I wasn't even close. I was close.
Close.
You'll be able to jump in later. I want to run to Teresa. And Mike, we're going to kind of let you be moderator. Is that okay? I'm going to kind of try to shut up.
Sure.
Except to introduce people. Well, you can introduce people too. So Teresa, Mike asked you a question before I interjected. Why don't you take it away?
I think Mike started off with a great angle as far as selling something, and is looking at what you have. You want to set yourself apart. You want to get some type of a differentiation with what you have to offer, whether it's a service that you offer or if it's a product. So Mike really hit it right on the head, and that's differentiating, making people really want it. And one of the ways that you can go about doing it, and chime in, Mike, if you have any input on this, is that if you can list the features of your product, and then from there you go into the benefits. So the benefits are, you ask yourself, okay, it's I have a pen here and it's black and it can write. Okay, so what? So what does that mean? And the so what part start to build your benefits. And that's the part that people care about. What problems are you going to solve for them? How are you going to make their life easier? Are you going to save them money? Are you going to save them time? These start to be the points that people can really connect to. They start to think of, okay, if I could save time, then I could be doing, this and this and this, something more that I want to do. So when you start connecting your product with the benefits and start explaining to your customer, to your prospect, what that means for them, then that's when you start to reach the points that Mike brought in as to, okay, I would be, just crazy if I didn't buy this product or if I didn't use this service. So, Mike, do you have any chimes right there?
No, I think what you're talking about is absolutely correct and 100% right on. It's what most of us do as small business people is not spend enough time making, discussing and thinking through what is it why do my prospects buy my stuff? We sell business development programs, we sell SEO and things of that nature, some sales coaching occasionally, but the reality is you've got to understand why they would buy it from you. And that takes, I'll give you a quick example. Years ago, around the time that the Civil War time, I was working for, actually it wasn't the Civil War, I was working for a company called USA.net, and USA.net was the largest internet messaging company in the world. At that period, actually developed web-based email like Gmail and Yahoo Mail, that stuff. They developed it, we developed it, and I was a partner. But it was a free email service, and we were trying to take that commercial. Well, in those days, to try to get a company to buy email was nearly impossible. It was a great product. It made sense, but it was brand new. So what we eventually did is I said, we've got to make this product irresistible. We have to make it where somebody will say, I'm going to be an idiot not to do this. So what we did in that particular instance was we went to some of the largest corporations in America and said, look, we want to give this to you for 6 months. We'll give you full support. It's thousands and thousands of dollars worth of services, and just to see what you think about it. Because what we knew is if United Airlines or Mazda of America, whoever it was, started to use our email service, 6 months later there was no way they were going to walk away from it. So after about 3 months of struggling with that, and then getting actually those companies I named, United Airlines as well as Mazda America and some others, on it free, it just took off. Because once we had, and they started to pay for it after 6 months too, because as you know, changing emails is not a lot of fun. So in that way, a lot of us can do that. A lot of small business people can actually give their stuff away free for a limited period of time with the understanding as a test, and people will stay on it. But it's exactly right. I see so many, here's a test that I saw somewhere. I didn't make this up. I've made nothing up. I have no original thoughts whatsoever, by the way. But basically, if you can take your stuff, whatever you sell, and you can take somebody else's logo and put it on your sales material, and it still makes sense, then you have a problem. Because you look like, sound like somebody else. If you can take somebody else's logo and put it on your sales material, and it doesn't make sense, then you're on the right track, because now you're being unique. So starting with that product and making it a unique offer, a valuable offer, is everything. Teresa, any thoughts on my long-winded explanation of that?
I think I just like to continue on going down that road. The points that you brought up are valuable in that, and I specifically want to go down the angle of offering it for free or offering it for a trial period.
Right.
If you can offer that, and it's like a basically you're making it a low barrier of entry to your client. And the point, though, is that you have to deliver on your end. So Mike brings up the point of value. And it has to be value. You can't be, trying to make something up that's really grand out of something that's very basic, or they can just go get at a lower price someplace else. So the part is to really over-deliver. If you concentrate on over delivering. People will be happy not only to purchase from you, but they are going to start telling their friends about you. And that's where you're going to start getting your referrals in. So that's the part, and kind of circling back to what Rob was saying about, you know, hating to sell, that's the part where you have people selling for you, is because they are starting to talk to their friends about you. So, but let's go back for a second and talk about the value. So now you have something, you've built something, you've put together something that people are wanting, and you offer them a free trial period, just like Mike did with their product, their email product, and give people a flavor of what it is. And don't be afraid to offer money back if they're not happy. And you know, when you offer that guarantee, it's an assurance to people that, okay, they're standing behind their word that this is a good product. It's a little bit more of a peace of mind for your prospects, for your clients. And if by chance you do have people who say, okay, this isn't for me and I'd like my money back, give it back with a smile, because that's what they're going to remember. If you've ever remember going and having to return something, people are all grumpy about it, and you know, that's the point that you remember. So give it back with a smile, because it might not be for them. It might be for 99% of the other people that you're targeting, but it might not be for that 1%.
Those are really good thoughts, Teresa. I want to interject something as a non-sales professional. When you do give away stuff for free, be a little bit careful about the perception of the possibility of bait and switch, because I think people are really attuned to that. I'm doing a little bit of work for a company that does backups, and I was doing some research for them. And there's a situation in the cloud-based backup industry where people will give something away really, really cheap to back up. Then you want to restore your data, and they hit you with a huge bill. So I think, you know, communicating a lot is important. And I also want to say hi to Rachel Alford. Welcome, Rachel. Now your mic's muted, Rachel, or you're just waving?
Yeah, hi. Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted.
And like, who else is here? Is that, oh, Lori. Lori's here also. Hi, Lori. We're letting Mike, at least I'm trying to let Mike be the moderator here, so he's going to ask all of you questions or kind of lead the discussion. So take it back away, Mike. Go ahead.
Thanks, Rob. You know, what Teresa has said, and I think a little bit of what I've echoed is, and we could go, I don't know, Teresa, I could go on for 8 hours about product and how to make it different, be authentic, and guarantees and all that. And if any of you are interested in that, I'm sure Teresa or myself or anybody else you want to talk to in sales would talk to you about it. But the next step to me, if I'm talking to a small business owner, is, okay, we've got a good product, we know it's unique, we have a good message. Now, the biggest mistake I see made, and some of you, Rachel, we've talked about this stuff, and we do a lot of it, is then we're promoting it to a mass market. And it's just a huge mistake, versus having an extremely targeted list of prospects who are most likely to buy your service. And I'll give you a quick example, but first I'm going to make a face. Okay. Basically, we do a thing called a marketing crystal ball, but what that actually is we take a look at somebody's past customers, and it helps define who their current customers are going to be. And when we do that, we look at 70 different possible commonalities within your customer base, and we rank them and find out what are the biggest commonalities. When I did that a year ago for my own part of my business, the search engine optimization business, it was amazing to me. What I found out, and this is silly that I didn't know, is basically that 90% of my customers in search engine optimization were part of the Better Business Bureau. They all had revenues of more than $1.5 million, and they'd all been in business more than 7 years. They all, not all of them, but the vast majority. The vast majority also had 5+ employees. Well, when you have that type of information about a target list, I know my most likely next customers are going to be Better Business Bureau members who have $1.5 million in revenue, have 5 employees, and been around a while. I can now create a list that was, you know, from the mass list that we all start with, even on social media when we're promoting our services, you know, talking about our stuff all the time, and just bring it down to this very narrow focus. Now, when I use that list, if I'm out there promoting search engine optimization in this case, I'll get a 7 to 10% return on a postal letter. On phone calls, I'll get a third to 50% interest in appointments, which is great. It's unbelievable. Great. So, I just wanted to see the smiles.
Well, let's get other people, if it's okay with you, Mike, if I do interject a bit. Let's get some other people, Lori and Rachel and Preston, anybody else that hasn't weighed in. Tell us either what your biggest tip is on sales or what your biggest challenge is. Let's just see if we can mix up the conversation a little bit.
Can I go?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I actually didn't want to join this hangout because I wanted to listen because this is something that I really need information about. Most of my clients, well, I would say 98% of my clients are clients that they come from referrals from other clients. I started my business not on purpose. Clients started my business for me. And so I'm at the point now of I have been spending an awful lot of time giving away free advice, and so I'm tired of hearing people say give away free advice. It kind of really bothers me. I've reduced my rates for internet people by half, and nobody wants to pay that. I had 4 months of solid. I was booked solid as far as like my crowdfunding workshops. But people email me, private message me, anywhere I am on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on G+, anywhere in the internet world, and ask me for free fundraising advice. It's great. I've raised over $8 million. I'm almost ready to say 9 pretty soon. But most of my clients are large companies or nonprofits, and I'm having a problem with, I don't want to be a witch and say, no, I'm not going to help you, I've got all the information and I'm not going to help you, but I mean, I think my rates are so much cheaper than most fundraising professionals. And I do that on purpose because most people that need fundraising need money, and so I'm not trying to gouge people, but I've got, over 20 years of experience that I don't think that I should give away for free. And so, I have a service, with my consulting, but I also have a product with my workshop, which I've now scaled down to 1 a month for those, for online. I also was doing them offline, and they've always sold out. But now the more people that are surrounding me, the more they just want me to give them the information rather than teaching them themselves. So I sort of just have questions, and I'm just want to learn. So that's it. I'm kind of rambling.
What are there specific questions Teresa can answer or myself?
I'm just not sure how to say I'm not giving you this information for free. Any more politely than, you can contract me for my services, but, like we've got 21,000 members, of the entrepreneurial community, and of that, I would say I've been contacted by at least 5,000 of them for free advice. Some people I know, some people I don't know, and, of course I don't give away all the information, but, everything I know isn't like rocket science. Do you know what I'm saying? But I also know a lot from a lot of different angles. And so I don't want to say, well, hire me and you can find out. I feel like that's spammy and cheesy. But also, I'm not giving away all my goods for free anymore.
Yeah. Teresa, do you have any advice on that?
Do you, by chance, do like one-on-one or offer consulting or something like that, Rachel?
Yeah.
Okay, so can you direct them to that, or maybe you offer, a 10-minute just overview, and you give them like one tip for, and that would be your free. Okay.
See, Teresa, can I interrupt you 1 second? I was doing that. I was giving free consultations, and what happened was people would take the information I'd give them and do their own crowdfunding campaign, And then as it was failing, then they're recircling back to me. Oh, I should have came back to you. Now can you help me? And I have no money and blah, blah, blah. And it's like this constant cycle. And I'm just a genuinely nice person who want to help. Especially most of these people's ideas are like going to help the world and blah, blah, blah. And so that's why I stopped giving free consultations, because I can't move them into, and I'm just talking about online people. Offline people, I mean, I make plenty of money, but I want to more, where all these online people that need help, like they're just not going to pay for it. Is that just what it is?
You know, if I could just interject for a second, I think Teresa would agree. Basically, you're back to target market. For those of us who spend a lot of time on social media, it's a mass broadcast, and it attracts the type of client, lack of client you're talking about. It attracts the freebie. The way I've always handled that, not always, but the way I handle it now is a request for consultation is basically I'll give 5 minutes of free stuff, and my product is my knowledge in that case. And so if they would like to, I'll be glad to give a discounted rate. My rate is $150 per hour on consultations. And 99% of them disappear at that point, and that's okay, because I love everything else, but we're here to do business.
Right. I think that Mike has a great point for you, Rachel. Do you have a blog that? Okay, let me start off. People need to know what the next step is. So if you can put together a series of posts that basically prep people to, okay, these are some general things you want to do, for the services that they're asking you. These are to kind of, and what you're doing here is you're setting them up to ask you for help. And this way, when people come to you, instead of then offering the free 10 minutes or whatever, okay, you don't want to offer the free consultation anymore, write up, do some post write-up, do a series of how-tos or to set people up. Send them to that. And then from that point on, if they want to come back and ask you, okay, show me the how-to, then you're there for your services. But what you're doing is you're trying to get them set up to the point where, okay, this is bigger than I thought. This is going to be a lot of places I could go wrong. I need Rachel to help me. So in a way, you're kind of trying to bypass that point where they're going to try and do it on their own and run out of funds to then come back and hire you. So give them the nitty gritty. Tell your stories of where you say where your clients or your people who came to you for help had failed. Share some of these stories of potential pitfalls if it's not done.
So you're saying like on my blog though?
I'm saying on your blog, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to talk to the masses. Talking one-on-one to people is going to eat up a lot of your time, which I'm sure you've already experienced. So if you can, and it sounds like it's the same type of questions that you might be getting. I'm sure you could probably break it into batches where you can have the same conversations over and over and over again. Right?
Yeah. Just if I can interject real quick, just on a personal level, Rachel, I totally think you should do that. You should have a blog about crowdfunding, and I've seen you give little advice over and over. For example, the other day on the Entrepreneurs Forum, I saw you give some advice about the sweet spot on donations, which I believe you said was between $5 and $70. Is that correct?
Yeah, $5 and $71. Yeah.
That would be a nice little blog post, not a two-paragrapher. And then you don't have to keep saying the same, refer to me here. And then you get the higher value people that might, when you start saying, well, I charge $150 an hour, but hey, here, this stuff is free. So I think, Teresa, that's a good tip.
Hey, I should mention when I say that nobody's taken me up on it on social media. Can I want to talk about referrals for a second, Rachel, because you bring that up. And Teresa, I don't know if you found this, but the vast majority of small business people we work with, especially consultant types, which a lot of us are, or bloggers, etc. Basically, 90%, 70% of your business comes through word of mouth referrals. So what's interesting to me is very few of us have a formal program to encourage referrals. I will tell you something. I've done two things personally and within the company that have really helped our referral basis, which means I don't need to market much, and we all love that. It's basically one, in our agreements, we have a referral clause, which basically says, if you like our service, you will refer me to one new company. I actually remind clients of that. I mean, that sounds pushy, but the reality is it helps save money to our clients because, if we're getting through referrals, I'm not advertising, I'm not passing on that cost. So there's an actual clause that says, if you like me, you're going to refer me to people until I sell somebody. And although it's somewhat tongue-in-cheek, it's in the agreement, and that allows me to go back and say, hey, remember, you owe me a list or you owe me a phone call. The other thing I've done, I think, Rachel, you've seen this, is I put together years ago, I started using it, a relationship chart, where, because business is relationships, and it's really a spreadsheet, and I'll be glad to share it with anybody who wants it, or you can build your own, but basically it says, on the left-hand column, here are people I know, and I list them all initially in business, and here's my current relationship with them. And then this sounds a little bit, I don't know, harsh, but I rate them in the standpoint of how much of a reach do they have into other businesses, and how much authority do they have? Will people listen to them? And then the third column I use is basically how likely is this person to refer me to people? Because we all know people who know everybody, but they never refer anyone.
Right.
So once I get that ranking, I use 1 to 10. Anybody who's a 19 to 30-ish total is somebody who's important to me, and then I just make sure I go do something nice for them. Over a period of 30 days or 40 days, each one of them every day. I've got a couple social media people I do this with, and I've action coaches, business coaches. I just make sure I find a good, nice thing to do for them, whether it's promote them, whatever it is. And I don't mean to dominate this, but that one is probably the best thing any of us can do for a small business. Build your relationships and actually chart it. What do you think of that, Teresa? Is that dumb? And I'm going to make a face.
No, I'm not laughing at your idea. I'm laughing at your face. No, I actually, you go into something that, again, I think I could probably talk about an hour on that topic alone. I think it really goes back a lot to 80-20. A lot of things end up being the 80-20 rule. 20% of your top clients are going to bring in 80% of your money. And focusing on those 20, making them feel incredibly valuable, and like Mike says, going back and visiting them, saying, sending them an email just to say hi, or hey, I read this book, thought you might like it. It doesn't always have to be where you're pounding, oh, do you have anybody you can refer me to? It's not, you're building the relationship, and no one, think of yourself on the other end of it. No one wants to hear that all the time. But if you call them up or send them an email, hey, I hope you have a great weekend, that goes a long way. And something that I just shared recently, and this really, I think, is a standout. A lot of people, when they get a referral from someone, they might give them a gift or send them a handwritten thank you note. But think about offering a referral a thank you twice. Okay, so once when they give you the referral, and once when that deal closes with that referred client, the new client. So if you give a referral 2 thank yous, you're going to stand out. Now, one might be where it's just, a handwritten thank you note, thank you so much. I look forward to following up with you to tell you the results of this and this client. And then when the deal closes, send them either a bottle of wine or a certificate for their favorite restaurant, or if they're interested in a book, send them a book, some little token, because that is going to go so far for the value of that new client that just spent money with you. To give a little thanks to the person who referred, that's going to be huge. Now, not only that, the person who referred to you originally, they're going to think of, oh, wow, she really appreciates my efforts. So they're going to go seek some other people. And when they seek out people, they're going to seek out people just like them, who are now, those people are going to also fall into your 20% client profile.
I'm sorry, were you?
I'm done. Yes, thanks.
Those are great points. If most of us, on this hangout would just focus on our best clients and our best relationships, the referral, the gifts are huge. To me, the best gift you can, not to me, but in general, the best gift you can give another business owner who's referring you is business, right? And so good good clients are the types that are usually pretty salesy by nature. They might be in marketing, or they understand the value of marketing. And as Teresa said, it's the 80-20 rule with referrals too. About 80% of your clients probably won't be good referrers for whatever reason. Clearly a character flaw. But 20% of your clients, or 10, will be great if you build that relationship with them. My relationship chart, I'd encourage you all to do it. I hate to go back to that, but it's just been the most successful thing for small business people. And a lot of these relationships, I'll give you a quick different example, is not about me. I have a client who's a StarPound Technologies and Teledinian. Because this is going to be public, I don't want to give too much information, but it was important for them to get in front of certain VCs, throughout the communities, who basically I sent a couple of notes and tweets to one of the big VCs in Boulder, who I didn't know, but we had some people in common saying, hey, I've got some valuable stuff you might be interested in, not about the client, but about somebody they invested in. And that actually brought me into that person's office and the opportunity to build a relationship with one of the biggest VCs in tech, and introduce my clients' information as well. So
that's pretty cool. I got energized. By the way, Boulder is getting to be a hotbed of VC stuff, isn't it?
A lot of VCs in Boulder.
Yeah. Before we go too long, there's a couple people here. Preston is like me. He's very talkative. He's been very politely being quiet. Lori hasn't said anything, and we have Don Lamont who's come in here. So let's do ladies first. Lori's been really patient. Lori, why don't you tell us either any tips you have for sales or what your biggest challenge is? Then we'll go to Don, then we'll go to Preston.
Well, I think for me right now, because I'm kind of doing a little bit what Teresa and Mike had talked about for Rachel, was kind of building some free materials, step-by-step sort of stuff. I mean, the area I'm working in, though, is really big and broad, so it's tough. I mean, I'm working in helping small business owners do their own design work. So, I mean, it's a huge area, so I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible and cover their most pressing, basic concerns. And then I'm going to work to developing more in-depth materials that they can purchase. So but I mean, that's a slow process because I have a toddler at home all the time, and I only have 2 days a week that I can actually work. So it takes a really long time to get enough writing done to put all these little pieces together, and so it's like really tiny little steps, one day at a time. But
I can imagine there's a lot of challenges in selling design services too. That does not seem like an easy sell to me.
It's not at all.
Yeah, I want to introduce everybody. Let's go to Don Lamont. Welcome, Don. Don is a life coach at your city in Washington D.C., I believe. And give us your either biggest tip for sales or biggest challenge you're having.
Are you able to hear me?
Yep.
Oh, good. Okay, I was muted. So my biggest challenge with sales and tips? Well, at the moment, I'm a life coach in training. So I've decided to go back to school and get actually certified and credentialed with ICF, the International Coaching Federation, so I'm official. With sales, I'm still very new entrepreneur to this entire thing. And I just was with a client, which is awesome, but that's why I'm late. So I came in at just a minute ago or less, so I have no idea what's going on. Definitely for me, it's maintaining contact with people and keeping the flow going. Like I have 300 people on a mailing list, 100 and something on my Facebook page and Google Plus and such. But it is, for me at the moment, keeping things relevant and keeping the flow going. I'm also still finding my niche, finding who it is I want to target and with what. Because I do so many different things that it's kind of like the interest of the week as a life coach. But my clients and the people that I'm talking to are not targeted well, so that would be another challenge. I kind of have people from all over the place. And they have no idea what I'm doing or why. And so it's very random, kind of scattershot, sort of occasionally getting the client here and there, but it just hasn't coalesced into a package or a brand even. It's getting closer, but still in training.
Yeah, watch out. I think you're getting there, and I think everybody should have a life coach. I think it's a great profession.
I do too.
So I hope you move forward.
I think
Let's
some
go to
people-
Preston because he's been so patient. I know he's talking. Preston, why don't you take the floor? Your biggest challenge or your biggest tip, and tell us a bit about what you do. I know you want to.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest, challenge is just creating those relationships too. I mean, for 20 years I've been in sales in many different industries, and most of the time, because of how I was trained, is I would go out to individual businesses, knock on their doors, say, hi, here's what I do. Do you have 5 minutes? And on the online world, it doesn't work that way. But the fact is that when you build the relationships online, at least, you really have to spend a lot of time with each individual and kind of figure out, what are they doing? What kind of things do they need to accomplish in their business? Because I do work with a lot of small business owners. I've gone back to my last, 20-year clients, have them all in my database, and I'm able to actually, try to talk to them in a little bit more, give them more information of what I'm doing. Sorry about that. I'm trying to stop it here. Apologize. I don't know how to do that. It's not stopping. Okay, sorry about that. But what I'm finding is that like what we're talking about is how do you actually sell by using yourself as a brand. I've been online for quite a bit now, especially with Google. When they first came out with Hangouts, I think I was online, and I guess there's some type of service out there that you can check to see how long you've been online and how experienced you are. And I somehow they come up with 12 years, and I'm like, wow, I don't think I've been online that long. But the fact of the matter is that when you're working with individuals, especially business owners from the past, from past clients, past industries I worked with, you got to catch them up to what you're doing now, and then find out a little bit more about what they can do, or what you can do to help them. And it's not necessarily, what I'm finding is not necessarily about what you can do for them now with your particular business or your particular product or service. It's more about, okay, I know you, we've talked in many cases, how can I help you? What are you looking for? Because I talk to people all day long. Maybe there's somebody that might have an interest. And it occurred just yesterday. One of my friends and clients in my business, he said, well, here's what I'm doing now. And I go, great. He basically working with a benefits person. I'm like, hey, I know a really good friend of mine who's a benefits person. Maybe we should hook you up. And that's exactly what I did. Now, will something come out of it for me? I don't know. Maybe down the road, I think it will, because he's going to remember that. So it's kind of like
that's a great skill to have, Preston. Rachel excels at that, by the way, about finding, what can I do for you? What do you need? So that's a great point. Let's get back, now that everybody's kind of at least kicked out a point or two, let's get back to Mike and Teresa, because I'm sure they have some impressions on what people have said. They're kind of our keynoters for today. So Mike or Teresa, take it away.
I just would like to circle back. If Rachel is still there, she has her avatar on. I don't know if she's still there. And also Lori had like the same question. She said that she had similar questions as Lori. Actually, with Lori, I think you're doing a great job doing exactly what you're doing. It takes step by step to build something, and you're doing a great job doing that. And patience, persistence, and consistency pay off. It's a long road, and one of the great features or benefits of being online is that it's basically a low barrier of entry. So you can build something, and you can do this on the side like you're doing. And if it takes you a long time, it takes you that time. But it's not like having a brick and mortar business where you're having to pay the rent. It's a little bit easier to get yourself in there. But producing value, and you have to give a lot away for free. And the point is that you give away a lot, but that last crucial point where people might get stuck, that's the part that you pay for. Just like where you were saying, you're going to teach people, but then is everyone going to have the tools to go and create, beautiful graphics? Probably not. So it's what about the ideas, the concepts, that's what's unique to your talents, and that's where people are going to end up hiring you. So I think you're right on track, and to continue to differentiate yourself and to go for a niche. I think that people want to they fight focusing on one specific category of people to focus on, because it's like, oh no, I don't want to like just focus on these people because all these other people, I'm going to lose out on this business. It actually works in the complete opposite. So by focusing, and Dawn, you kind of brought this up too, is by focusing, and as you grow and you're learning more about your practice and who you can help best or who you want to help, by focusing on a very specific person, then you're going to come back around as you move along, and you're going to end up finding that 80-20, just like we were talking about a little bit a few minutes ago. And that 20% of your top clientele are going to be the ones who really dig your services, who really appreciate. They're going to tell their friends, and so on and so on and so on, the old shampoo commercial. So it takes a while. I mean, it's taken me a while. And Mike, I mean, sales is not something that happens instantaneously. If you have something of value and you're ethical about it, it doesn't happen overnight.
Oh no. I wanted to add a little point to yours, which is the 80-20, and I think it's important, is what I've found in the last decade or so, and again, I've been around over 300 decades, is that it doesn't necessarily have to come from your clients. Actually, my highest referral for our company, the highest referral sources are not clients today. They're, basically referral partners, if you want to call it that, or people we've helped out, especially business coaches. So even though we get a lot of referrals from clients, people have a tendency to focus on referrals only from clients, where the fact is you can get raving fans or whatever you want to call them in a lot of places. If you don't mind, I wanted to give one sales tip because this is almost over. It's a pretty short one, but basically, I believe most small business people don't sell much or have problems with sales because they don't want to do it. The reality is, if you have a 10x10 marketing program, if you have 10 marketing things going on, if you're on social media, if you're doing whatever you're doing, if you're generating leads, you will sell. The vast majority just don't want to do it. And that's completely understandable, but it's probably the most valuable skill you can learn past what you do for a living is sales. But here's a sales tip that I think, Teresa, I hope you'll agree. The easiest way to sell once you get in front of a prospect is to actually sell. And what that means is the greatest sales rep I ever worked with, and I've worked with thousands, is a guy named Terry. And I went out in the field with him. I was an old door-to-door salesperson. And this is the way he sold. We sold telecommunication services. He'd sit down, he'd introduce himself, they'd have a small chat, and he'd go, "You'd like to save money on your telecommunications, right?" The person would say, "Yes." He'd go, "Good, sign this." And they'd go, "What?" Say, "You want to save money on your telecommunications, right?" "Yes." "Well, you're on so-and-so. We'll save you money. Sign this." He'd go, "Wait, I have a question." He'd say, "Is your quality any good?" He'd say, "Yes, your quality is very good. Here's 10 referral letters. Sign this so we can get started." So in other words, what Terry did is what all of us could do if we really want to sell. If you really want to sell, then close. And you can close right from the beginning. If you're a life coach, you can say, "You'd like to make your life better, right? Well, let's get started. It's this amount of fee. Sign here." If you're selling graphic services, it's like, "You'd like to look better because that's a value to you, right? Good, let's get started." What most of us don't do, and I know it's hard, but the fact is we'd rather talk and chat than close. So that's the shortest little sales piece I can give you, is have a questionnaire and just ask people to do it. Because
I think that's a perfect, we got to end this broadcast part of this. We can sit around talking informally if you want, but ask for the order is what I think you're saying. And so many of us that aren't salespeople, we yak on forever, and we just kind of never get to that part where you really have to ask for the order. I want to shut this down within the broadcast part. We can still talk, chat if you have time still. Anybody have any parting shots before we end the formal broadcast? For people that might watch this later.
I just want, if I could, Rob, I just want to say I'm a big fan of all of you on here. Rachel was on earlier. Laura, I know your work, and it's like I am really impressed by the people you brought into your community, and I appreciate, I'm sure, meeting Teresa and just being part of such an intelligent group. With the exception of me, I don't put myself in that.
Well, thank you so much for that, Mike. And Mutual Admiration Society. I really like a lot of the people I've met online here too. So anyway, we're going to end the formal broadcast of this. This has been the Let's Talk About series, sponsored by the entrepreneurial, self-employed, and small business community. If I could say the word entrepreneurial, I'd probably be doing a lot better. I'd like to thank you for listening in on us. I hope you'll join us on the community. We're going to be doing a lot more, both Hangouts and Hangouts on Air. We want to get to know each other personally to the extent we possibly can. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.